over-sexualized black people. We already have an issue with over-sexualized black women. The stereotypical image of a black woman includes belligerent, obesity, and hypersexual. Hey, this is the antisocial socialite back at it again. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you are new to the channel or you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, so when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loops. Shout out to all of you wonderful new subscribers. I really appreciate you hitting the button. You know, make sure you hit the notification bell. We go live a couple of times a week. I upload a couple of times a week, and we talk about love, relationship, topics that affect the black community. From a red pill perspective, there's no book more red pill than the Bible, so we will be throwing in scripture. And today is Pick Me Monday, so for all you lovely cat ladies who love to brag about your degrees and your accomplishments, these images are for you.
그냥 웃음만 짓게 돼. Don't know what to say. You were just like one spring day. 설레임을 주는 걸 언젠가부터였을까.
You see the title, you know what time it is. Netflix Cuties, the over-sexualization of young people and the promotion of pedophilia. There's a couple of things I want to say about this, but I'll start with the concept of the movie Cuties. This was originally a French film called Mignons, and the storyline goes that there is a girl who comes from an Islamic background. She lives in the West, and she becomes fascinated with a dance troupe. And the way they present this movie is through watching these girls dancing erotically and twerking on the floor. She wants to discover her quote-unquote femininity. So this is the description of the movie. Now, there are a number of issues with this. Number one, I think Netflix is just a playground for the devil. I'm yet to really hear anything constructive or really solely good come out of Netflix. From Sabrina the Teenage Witch that went hyper demonic. I mean, it was already demonic because it's witchcraft, but at least when it was in the 90s, it was fun and it was girly. It wasn't this dark, deep occult theme-ish type of stuff that the new Sabrina had. And I think that's one of the reasons why they axed it, because people wanted to see the original style Sabrina, and this had just gone too dark. Pretty much everything I hear about Netflix is negative, okay? Even the fact that we have a saying called Netflix and chill, which basically just means hook up and have casual sex, it says a lot about Netflix. I'm joking, but I was thinking Netflix and chill or Hulu and chill. It's like, there's a problem. Now, the original movie, when I looked at it, and the way it's kind of described, you feel like it's a coming of age movie. But the funny thing is these kids are really young. The main character is just 11. Now, when it went over to the West and Netflix took it over, the controversy has arisen because of the artwork. And what Netflix said was, the storyline is an 11-year-old Islamic girl who wants to go and explore her femininity. And the picture on the poster is of, I believe, girls just walking up a hill. A group of 4 girls who are going to do this dancing. And Netflix said the poster doesn't accurately represent what the movie is about. The main point of the movie is that this girl wants to explore her femininity, quote unquote, by prancing around on stage, gyrating and twerking. at 11. So the artwork that they changed the poster to was a highly suggestive picture of girls dressed a bit like, cheerleaders, amateur strippers. They're in very suggestive poses. And there was a huge media backlash because of the fact that these girls were being clearly over-sexualized at a very young age. And I've said this before. I've told you before that there's an agenda. There's a multitude of agendas that are out here to corrupt society. And I want to do a video, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to put this together, because I genuinely believe one of the biggest weapons used against the black community is sex. We know sex can be very powerful. There's the saying, love and other drugs, because of the chemical reactions that occur when people are engaging in sexual and romantic relationships. People want to feel loved, they want to feel validated, they want to experience pleasure. And so sex is one of the poor man's pleasures. And that's not to be kind of disrespectful, but if you can't have the luxuries of life, you can at least derive pleasure from sex because it's free. So sex has a lot of power, but sex can derail you very easily, because as a female in particular, sleep around, make and break a lot of bonds with different partners. Over time, it becomes impossible really for you to have a bond or a long-lasting relationship with a decent person. And as a result of that, that's going to result in probably mental illness, some type of abuse. Maybe you get into some kind of harmful situations. And obviously there's STDs and unplanned pregnancies. Those are money spinners, because by breaking people down mentally and physically, you can milk them financially. If you break people down mentally, psychiatrists have jobs, doctors have jobs, divorce lawyers have jobs. Okay, if you have children out of wedlock, or if you have, a broken marriage where you have joint custody, that's 2 sets of utility bills, that's 2 sets of car payments, that's 2 sets of Christmas and birthday presents or whatever religious holidays you celebrate, because you have the father's household and the mother's household trying to support the one set of children. It's just cheaper to have everybody living under one roof. So there's a concerted effort to help people to get married, but not to stay married. And this is part of the reason why I feel sex is used as a weapon against, in particular, the black community, because a lot of a male's validation is derived from sex, and a lot of a woman's, value is derived or attached to her sexuality. So you have 2 dark-skinned girls, one who looks like she's mixed or light, and you have a white girl in the main theme. And one of the reasons why I wanted to touch on this, apart from the fact that I believe that this is about normalizing pedophilia, is the fact that where is the outrage from the colorism crying queens about the sexualization of young girls, the adultification of young girls? And the reason why I said this is this. A couple of months back, there was a huge amount of uproar of images of young black girls protesting at BLM marches, being aggressive, being masculine, quote unquote masculine, marching, speaking up against the injustice against black men. And there were a lot of people saying, this is adultification. It's not right that these young girls are being put on the front line. Now, there are stories of children being in all kinds of protests and marches all around the world. I mean, even if you go to gay pride marches, there are lots of children there. Men who are fully naked, men kissing men, lewd acts, and children are intermingled in this environment. So, I did a quick search about children at protests, and I did find some articles of, a woman who was being, I don't know if she was arrested or prosecuted because she went to a protest in India where they believe there's Islamic discrimination, and her baby, I believe, caught pneumonia and died as a result of her sitting out in a peaceful protest with her kids. So this idea that only little black girls are on the front line being masculinized. I know there was the Rolling Stones cover, which, I have mixed feelings about. I support the idea of black women protesting. As I said in a live stream yesterday or the day before, we need a BLM that's not BLM, because Black Lives Matter doesn't really care about black lives. If you're against patriarchy and traditional family values, then you cannot be for black lives, because the whole problem in the black community stems from the brokenness of the black family. So if you're promoting a lifestyle or non-traditional values, there's no way you're going to eradicate many of the problems that we have in the black community. Fatherlessness has a huge contributing factor, or is a huge contributing factor to why a lot of young black men are desperate, why they're not achieving, why they're ending up in gangs, prison, or they're not making it to adulthood. And if they do make it to adulthood, they're not thriving. So there's no way you can promote the alternative lifestyle but at the same time say you care about black lives. And this is not saying that we should go out and now start hurting people of the LGBTQ community. It's saying that this organization and this movement as it stands, BLM, is nothing but a Trojan horse. The way they put pressure on people, the way that they mobilize people, great. But the undercurrent and the undertone of their organization will ultimately keep undermining the progress of the black community. So there was this huge uproar for some of the colorism crying queens as to why little black girls are being depicted on the front line trying to cape for black men. And again, if you're gonna do it and then throw it back in the black man's face, just don't do it. It's fine. But where is the outrage over this? Because if I had to pick showing my daughter a little girl protesting versus a little girl twerking on the floor like a stripper, I know which image I'd want her to see. And I get it. Adultification of kids is not right, even though it's not new. We've had decades of pageants, little girls being plastered with makeup, wearing scantily clad clothing. You have the sexualization of children in the modeling world, in the entertainment world. A lot of people are familiar with Shirley Temple. Huge controversies have come out about what these children went through when they were on the sets of these movies in the 1930s. Shirley Temple herself has come out and said that when the children were misbehaving, they would be placed in a black box, and the box had just a little window in it, and in the box was a block of ice that the children would be made to sit on, meaning they were in the dark, they were alone, they were separated from their parents and adults in a freezing cold condition. So when I do the whole video about WAP and we talk about trauma-based mind control and how people are traumatized into going into a trance-like state so they can be manipulated, there's a lot of, not a lot of evidence, but there's a lot of suggestions that in the entertainment industry, they do psychologically break these young people down, trigger their alternate personalities, and then they're able to use them and manipulate them. A lot of people have commented how sexual Shirley Temple was, not as a child herself, but how the industry presented her. She did a movie called Baby Burlesque where everybody was a child, but they played very adult roles, and she was like a prostitute. there are other movies where she's dancing around in very short dresses. People have commented how the dress has clearly been cut in such a way that it's shorter at the back than the front. So when she turns around, there's almost a chance of a little peep up her skirt kind of thing. And there's many people who've come out, even people who will remember years ago, Roseanne Barr saying how MK Ultra and mind control is very strong in Hollywood. A lot of people that have come through the Disney Club and these child stars, they reach a certain age and they start having complete meltdowns. So the sexualization of kids is picking up steam. We now have the concept of drag kids. You know, children who are, you know, claim to be in the wrong body, but they're gyrating and dancing and performing for adults. And this brings me back to this movie Cuties, because I didn't notice this, but somebody I was listening to actually pointed this out. I had the section based on what Netflix describes about the movie, but I just didn't put two and two together, because in my mind, the star and the audience are the same age. But this movie has been given a rating of 18 plus. Only adults can go and see this movie. So the question is right to be asked. Who is this movie actually made for if young people are not allowed to go and see it? It seems to be true that the movie was actually promoted on Netflix as entertainment for minor attracted persons, people who are attracted to underage girls. And the thing about it is this: we're not even talking about adolescents. We're not talking about 16-year-olds where it's kind of like you're on the cusp of adulthood. The main characters are around 11 years of age, and they are doing highly suggestive dances and poses in the movie and in the dance routines. And this is exploitation of dark-skinned girls. Now, am I saying that this is the only time children are being exploited is when they're dark-skinned? No. But we know that there's a massive over-sexualization of the black female. And I'm just curious to know, where are all of your Chrissies and your Parises when it comes to this? I mean, they can go through your Instagram and find a colorist statement from 1825, but they can't seem to have a comment. And I'm watching. I want to see them address this conversation. Why were you outraged by Rolling Stones putting the picture of a black woman and a black child on the front of their magazine, but you are not absolutely disgusted by the sexualization of young black girls? Because, okay, you can say, oh, this is an 18 movie, only adults are going to watch it, which means that you have adult people who are looking at little black girls as fodder. We already have an issue with over-sexualized black people. We already have an issue with over-sexualized black women. The stereotypical image of a black woman includes belligerent, obesity, and hypersexual. We already have an issue with obesity, which means you have a lot of young girls who actually look much bigger than their actual age. Now, am I saying that, oh, well, if you look bigger than your age, you're asking for it? Obviously not. But it doesn't help when you have a culture that makes children adults before their time. And we have a breakdown in the black community of protection. And no, this isn't a black men don't protect us argument. Because if black women wanted protection for their babies, they would pick men who would protect them. Nicki Minaj. If you're bringing predators in and around your children, you cannot be surprised that the number of young black people who complain to have been sexually assaulted is so high. And although we can say this movie is for people who are older, which already is a disgrace, because I don't understand what adult person wants to watch 11-year-olds gyrating on the floor? I mean, I'm offended when I see kids half naked. I'm like, can you go and put some clothes on? I don't want to see you prancing about in your pants. I don't care if you're a child. Go and put some clothes on. I hate seeing half naked kids. I find it disgusting. And now you have them rolling on the floor like strippers. That's bad enough. But we know that when Netflix is streaming in these people's homes, because we've normalized the sexualization of children so much, we know young girls are going to watch it. And although I'm going to do a whole video on the WAP video, how I believe it's just a satanic ruse anyway, now we've got WAP challenge, where you have people, and I said this in the Sierra Russell Wilson video, Alpha Seeds Beta Needs video. These celebrities, they come across with their high-pitched voices and colorful videos like a children's cartoon. It appeals to the feminine. And when you watch these WAP challenges, all you see is a lot of women and a lot of gay men. These artists are manufactured to appeal to the emotionality and the femininity in women and gay men. And this ties it right back round to the drag kids, the drag queen story time, and how you have grown men, grown women watching small children adultifying themselves, being highly suggestive, highly provocative. And it's just a cultural gradual slide into the normalization of adults being with minors. We know we already have NAMBLA, man boy love, NAMBLA. So there's already a concerted effort to make it okay and acceptable for adults to be with minors. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if this was just a little litmus test. They wanted to see how receptive we were to the idea of watching underage girls dancing in a provocative manner. We've already had the pageants, and people will say, oh, you know, it's just a bit of harmless fun. You know, they want to be models. This is the first step on the ladder. And okay, it's a little bit intense because, you know, they've got a lot of makeup on. But, you know, they just look like a little dolly. It's fine. But now you can see the gradual slide towards complete degeneracy. And I'm asking and I'm waiting for the response or the address by your Chrysalians, by your Chrissies, by your Parises and your Brooklyn Blues and your Cerebrals and your Cynthia G's. You women have a lot to say about a little black girl who's covered up talking about injustice, but you don't have an issue with not one but two dark-skinned girls rolling on the floor like a pair of 2-bit hookers. So that's all I've got to say for this one. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.